All right, this is Rudy. It's January the 9th, 2015. I'm going to call Judge Margaret Casey Rodgers. Her phone number is 850-435-8448. She is the judge in Dr.Kent Hovind's case.
You've reached the chambers of Chief Judge Casey Rodgers of the United States District Court for the Northern District of Florida. We're not available to take your call at this time, but if you'd care to leave a message, we will return your call just as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Record your message at the tone. When you are finished, hang up or press pound for more options.
Hello, Miss Casey Rodgers. My name is Rudy Davis, and I'm a resident of Texas, but I am a friend of Dr. Kent Hovind. And I was hoping to talk to you regarding his case. He's been in prison for over 8 years, and my investigation, it appears that there's several people that have acted very illegally and unethically. I say that because I am very familiar with the character of Dr. Kent Hovind, and the man has never had a cigarette, never tasted alcohol, and yet he's been in prison for the past 8 years on trumped up tax charges, not withholding taxes from employees. Also, although he had a church ministry and you do not have to withhold taxes from contractor employees, as well as trumped up stacked structuring charges. And I think you were involved in that, ma'am. And I think that's very unethical to stack up structuring charges against the man in such just a heavy way. He's been in prison for over 8 years. And the whole law of structuring, I just have a problem with the whole law. The third charge being threatening an IRS agent, Scott Schneider, with a prayer, that goes on every day. Matter of fact, I've said some prayers recently regarding yourself, and I pray to God that justice come and that the light be shown on this situation. And I'm doing my best as a friend of Dr. Kent Hovind to get light shed on this. And I would just ask you, do you think you've acted ethically in the case of Mr. Kent Hovind? We have Al Sharpton, who owes over $5 million in back taxes and has visited the White House over 80 times and is a good, close personal friend of Mr. Obama. But yet Kent Hovind, who's a Baptist minister and preaching the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ, believes this Bible, never tasted alcohol, never smoked a cigarette, is in prison for over 8 years. And people that are associated with your organization are trying to throw additional mail fraud charges on him to keep him in jail for the rest of his life. I would ask you, ma'am, to consider very carefully whether what you're doing is ethical and it's legal, and whether it's morally right. Kent Hovind is a minister of the Lord Jesus Christ, and we need him on the outside. And I'm very concerned when I read about the conduct of the stacked up structuring charges, and how heavy the sentence was when we have people like Al Sharpton. The New York Post recently wrote about a $4.5 million back tax. But Kent Hovind, and also trying to seize the church ministry and seize the church property. How do you account for that? I mean, it's not like this is drug money, right? I mean, this was money that was sent to Kent Hovind and his ministry, and he wasn't even the owner. It was the ministry's money. It wasn't even personal ownership. Kent Hovind has taken a vow of poverty. Again, my name is Rudy Davis, and my email address is ruddavis@yahoo.com. Again, I'll give that to you, ruddavis@yahoo.com. I've got a tremendous amount of material that I'm mass emailing to every congressman, minister, people of influence, and I'm doing my best to shed light on this information, shed light on Kent's case. And my question to you, ma'am, is when this becomes public knowledge of what's happened to Mr. Kent Hovind, do you feel that you can hold your head up high and be will you be able to publicly account for your actions? And Mr. Kent Hovind being in prison for over 8 years, and you're going to be part of a new trial starting February the 9th? Do you really feel that what you're doing is right and just and proper? Is this what you consider true justice? Because I'm very concerned about it. And I'm going to do everything within my power for the rest of my life to bring justice and to shed light on this situation. And I'm not the only one. So I just, I just pray that you think very, carefully and please do the right thing. Again, I would love to have your email address, so if you could point me to that, I would love to send you some material to review. ruddavis@yahoo.com.
To send this message, press pound or hang up. To play it, 3. To re-record it, 4. To add to it, 5. To discard it, 6. Your message has been sent. If you would like to try an extension, you may do so now.
All right, that was a message left on January the 9th, 2015 for Judge Margaret Casey Rodgers. And her phone number is 850-435-8448. I pray that I'm not the only one to call her. I'm going to make other phone calls tonight as well. And God bless every one of you. Oh, I forgot to mention one of the most important things that U.S. Attorney John David Roy Atchison was a pedophile. So I'm going to call her back and remind her about that.
You've reached the chambers of Chief Judge Casey Rodgers of the United States District Court for the Northern District of Florida. We're not available to take your call at this time, but if you'd care to leave a message, we will return your call just as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Record your message at the tone. When you are finished, hang up or press pound for more options.
Hello, Judge Margaret Casey Rodgers. This is Rudy Davis again. One thing I forgot to mention in the previous voicemail is it's my understanding from investigating this case that U.S. Attorney John David Roy Atchison, who was on the prosecuting side, one of the lead prosecutors against Ken Hovind, was actually caught boarding a plane and with a jar of Vaseline and a doll, and he was soliciting sex from a 5-year-old. He was talking to a person who was pretending to be a mother, and she was offering her 5-year-old daughter to U.S. Attorney John David Roy Atchison, and he actually got on a plane with a jar of Vaseline and a doll, right? And so when he got off the plane, my understanding is they arrested him and he hung himself in prison. So is that the kind of U.S. attorneys that we have going against a man of God? I mean, it's overwhelming when I look at what's going on with this case, and I'm not saying that reflects directly upon you, but that does reflect upon the U.S. prosecuting team that was coming against Ken Hovind. And it also is reflects upon their ethicalness and their integrity. The other thing I would offer, ma'am, is it's been stated that Ken Hovind got 3 years in prison for threatening IRS agent Scott Schneider in the line of his duty, and that was done over a radio with a prayer. It's like that's absolutely the most absurd thing I've ever heard of, and the whole situation, all 3 charges, was absolutely. It appears to me absolutely bogus. I mean, Ken Hovind was running a ministry, a church ministry. Whether he was running it or not, I guess I shouldn't even word it like that. He might have been a member of it. I'm not even sure that he was on the list of owners or trustees. I would hope you would know that since you were the presiding judge. But it was a church, and it was, exempt, right? If churches and ministries are exempt from paying taxes, and if people are contractors, you do not have to withhold taxes, right? And then the second thing is the stacked up structuring charges. That's crazy. I mean, those laws were put in place for drug dealers, right? So for money laundering and things like that. This is legal money that people willfully sent to the ministry that Kent Hovind was a member of, right? And so to say that he is part of some drug organization and you guys have the right to seize the property is absolutely absurd. And then the threatening the IRS agent because of a prayer on a radio is absolutely the most absurd thing I've ever heard. Miss Casey Rodgers, if you could please send me your email address, I would love to send you some material that I've collected and have you review ruddavis@yahoo.com. And I'm a Bible-believing follower of Jesus Christ. I believe that I need to stand up for the truth, and I will not let this go. I want to see my brother Kent Hovind free. He's already been in prison for over 8 years. It's time that he get out and be reunited with his family. And they're trying to bring more trumped-up mail fraud charges on him. It's absolutely absurd. I ask that you please look at this case and do the right thing.
To send this message, pound or your message has been sent. If you would like to try an extension, you may do so now.
All right. Well, I've said everything I can say to Judge Margaret Casey Rodgers.